out of time in our class, so I left off just this last tiny little bit of the step 9, right, about Bootstrap using columns on edit and create. So, basically I mentioned it here as well, right, in the instructions that we should, in some circumstances, take advantage of this grid system that Bootstrap supplies, right? It's extremely powerful for making um, good responsive layouts, right? So basically the idea is that we have rows and columns, right? By default, there's 12 columns. So if you don't specify column widths, then it will just divide it evenly. So in this example here in code, each of these would get 4, 4, 4, and 4 would add up to 12. And so that would be the represented width, but they're dynamic and they'll wrap around and so on. By the way, if you ever have more than 12, then they just wrap around to the next row, right? So basically, and there are 6 responsive breakpoints, right? So we refer to them, if you want to, you can say, small, medium, large, extra large, and so on. So basically, whatever you specify and above, right, will be used as a column. If it gets below the breakpoint that you're specifying, then it always just goes vertical and they stack on top of each other. So, read through all this. There's lots of examples of its use in different ways and how you can arrange it. But I'm just going to show you a simple example of implementing this inside of our project so far. In fact, it's there. We just haven't made much use of it yet. So let me go to the views for patient, right? Now, typically where this comes up, actually, I should probably run this to make sure we see exactly where this is needed and where it's not. Okay, and it's usually on our edit or create views. That's where we run into problems. So for example, well, let me do doctors first, right? If I come in to edit a doctor, no big deal, right? Yeah, it's all over here at the left, but there's only 3. I can see everything on the screen at once, and it doesn't really matter if this is on a small screen on a mobile device or a medium size or whatever. I can certainly see it all. So that's not really a priority. What would you do anyway? Would you put them one at a time across? Probably not, right? But let's think about a patient though. So if I come in to create a new patient, okay, well, gosh, I'm scrolling up and down, even if I make this full screen. Look at that, There are clearly a couple of issues that are obvious, right? One, the fact that there's all this empty white space. We're wasting so much screen real estate. Plus, now I have to scroll and scroll to get from the bottom to the top. And picture some of our entities might have way more than just this number of different properties to set, right? So yeah, that might look fine if this was on a mobile device. Let me shrink right down. Yeah, it makes sense that it would be laid out vertically this way, but let's make it responsive and take advantage of the screen that's over here. And that's what we're going to do quite simply using the Bootstrap Grid System, right? So it's really just the patient. I don't really have to worry about this for any of our other entities in this example, and one is enough to show you what I mean. So here, pick one, anyone, doesn't matter. I'll start with create, I guess, because that's the one on the screen. Now notice that we do have the form, okay, here. And this is one of my pet peeves about the way these views are scaffolded, right? The form starts inside of the row, right? So eventually I might want, I should probably start it on the doctor because there's fewer things. Oh no, it doesn't matter. No, um, I don't want to do doctor. So, but the problem is that the form, right, is right here and then it ends, okay, inside the div for the column and for the row and so on as well. It can, odds are you're going to mess up. I know I typically often do. I like to make sure the form wrap it around the entire row, right? So I'm going to move the closing form tag from here down below, right? And of course, it doesn't line up yet. So I'm going to move it, and anything else that's just tucked away inside the form, like this summary, that's our validation summary tag. I'm going to move it along with it. Oops, I missed that angle bracket. I better get that back in place. Take this one out, right? There we go. So now the row is inside here. Now I wish I could just do a keyboard combination to get it to fix the indentation, but I don't know, it never seems to work for me. So this is a bit of a shortcut. I can shrink it down and shrink this one down, and then at least it follows the tabbing. Now the closing ones don't get indented, so I have to come down here and manually indent them, right? But that saves a little bit of manual work getting the indentation correct, okay? And this can just come over to here. Okay, So that's the first thing I'm going to fix. Now I might as well do that on the edit as well. Right here, there's three, count them, three things, because there's a hidden input here that holds the primary key. Right? Because on an edit, we have to keep track of the primary key, but we don't display that to the user. It wouldn't make sense to them anyway. It's just an integer. What would they do with it, right? Okay, so I'm just fixing this up. And of course, again, move the form tag out of here and put it at the bottom. Just a little bit of indentation to fix to make sure it's properly formatted. And there we go. And so that one indents and that one indents. There we go. Now it's all lined up properly. So sorry, a bit of a pain, but basically what we've done is we've got the form wrapping around everything now. And that's important because we're going to start messing with these columns and rows. Okay, so now that's done. Notice what we have. We have a single row, right? That's why everything is all in one column at the moment. Now the column MD, that's medium. We're giving it 4 out of the 12 column widths available, so to speak, right? And that's it. So that one column, everything is in the one column all the way down, right? Okay. So what we could do is we could break it up into two columns. So, kind of look at your screen, say, well, the phone numbers around the middle. I could, it's not right or wrong. I could have the phone number at the bottom of the first column or put it in the top of the second column. Doesn't really matter. What I'll do is I'll end, okay, the column right here by just going /div, and I'll start a new column, right? So it'll be just like above, div, uh, class equals. So I'll go column, medium and above, MD4. Okay. Oh, there. All right. Now it's happy. So let's just actually run this and see. So I go to edit a patient. There we go. So now we see that, okay, we start the second column here, but notice this, of course, as we shrink down, change screen sizes, so to speak, right? It's going to eventually just stack just like it would on a mobile device, right? Just totally vertically. But, it does give us a chance. Now you might say, well, wait a second, you're still wasting all this over here. Well, that's true. I could break it up into three and then let it shrink and so on and so forth. Um, but I could maybe with that. But if I did want to, at the very least, maybe what I might do is this: I might give them half of the 12 width that is available for each one. Well, by the way, notice if I only do one, let me actually just bring that up. So see, the first column now takes half of the 12, 50% of the screen. Second one is still only taking 4, right? So there's 2, right, left over here. Right? So I could make this 6 as well. So, play around with it. The other thing I would usually do is the save button. I like to put that in its own row at the very bottom, right? So maybe I'm going to fix this. Maybe I'll make this 6 as well, and we'll put the save button in its own row, right? So let me come down here. So I'll make this 6. So now I'm using the full width, right, for all of my inputs. And what I'll do is I'm going to grab this out of here. And this is where it's nice. So this is the one that ends the row, right? So below it, I'll actually put an entirely brand new row. Okay. There's only one thing in it, one column. And here's my input submit, right? There we go. So that's good. So that subtle change. Then let me just bring back up the browser. So now the save button, when it refreshes, did I click the hot reload button? There we go. So we see the save buttons down over here. So it's up to you. Like if you want to do that, you can play. Maybe I want the phone number down here, et cetera, right? But there's a lot of opportunity to take advantage of the columns in the system, and that's just the first thing. We don't want to be scrolling up and down, right? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to put the phone number down there just to show you how easy it is to do that. So coming back here. So right now, I went past it. Here's the phone number. See, it's at the top of the second column. I'm just going to cut it and put it at the bottom of the first column. Ah, okay. I just do save, hot reload. There we go. So you see now the phone number's at the bottom of that column, and we just continue on here. All right. There we go. Now I could do the same thing, of course, on create. Okay. Right now we don't have it yet, but I could do it the same way to match. But I'm not going to make you watch me do that. But you can see the difference, right? You can see the value of being able to use all the screen real estate there is.